Again, good evening to everyone. Good evening, Jerwin. So, as I have said, I just have sent you a new assignment. So this is just kanina. So it's about writing research reports, but we are not yet done with writing research proposal. So and I have changed everything. Yes, and conducting research. We are going to do the conducting research first. So I have changed already everything, every deadline to the 21st of August. Tama ba? Yes. So just be reminded of that. And we will have again final. We will have our final na next week. I'm going to send you the finals na mga art assignments. So please take note that if every step of your assignment in the end meron tayong quizzes. So we have here, we are already done with writing a research proposal. So last time, we talk about everything about, and so there I have sent here also the links to that. Okay, I just don't remember kung na-send ba na ako sa message ang links. So let me have a look.
Hey, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Na-send din ako. So to continue, again, we are going to yeah. So just for those who were not present last time, so you can go back to the links that I have sent you. And also don't forget the questions. No, you have to answer the only one multiple choice. Respeto na lang. And now we are in the conducting research now. So in conducting research, we were going to talk about experimental type of conducting research. Because let's make use of this. When I have done my when I became yes. So paki-mute na lang sa iba sa uban nga kung saba inyong background ha. Si Carla ata nga background. So again, this was when I am a fertilizer and pesticide accredited researcher, and also Sir JP. Both of us are FPA researcher, and these are the protocols that we are following. No, so I've done this one also when I became a speaker. I think when it was also the time when Sir JP attended the training, and it was the time na ako yung speaker at that moment. I just can't remember when, maybe 2 years or 3 years ago. So anyway, they still have the same protocol, and if any changes, may sinasabi sa green book or blue book na nandoon naman sa website. So, but then going back here in the topic in the end, I will also give you, this is for the FPA protocol, sample protocol of, let's say, yung ginawa naming protocol sa Pechay, no? And with all the budgetary. Yan. This is a sample protocol for FBA registration ng products, and with all the budgetary na yan. Funded by the company that's going to sell the chemical or the product. So that's the sample. We also have sample qualitative. Now this was the research I had in Samoa with my partner Stephen, Dr. Stephen Pratt. So when I as I have told you, I became a lecturer at University of the South Pacific, Samoa. It's somewhere in the South Pacific, of course. And this was last 2019 and luckily it was approved, no? Ayan with the but. So ito yung sample nila ng mga research application. The budget, and then we have introduction, objectives. So ito yung sample study ng qualitative, no? Ang title niya is Agritourism in Samoa Potential and Challenges. So we will just go back to this one after we talk about the protocol of FPA. So ayan, makikita ninyo the different parts, background, what else? Yeah, the different topics under review literature. So medyo mahaba siya. Okay, and I also have, and then the research method. So you can see here, ano yung methods na gagawin kapag you use the qualitative type of research. Kasi this is, the research methods is using secondary and primary data. So ano bang sinabi dito? But this is a survey and interviews. And yes, we will just go back on this one and how the sample were selected, its implications like rationality, time frame, and references. So let's just go back on that later. And also sample, no, this is about experimental statistics now, which will be discussed after we do the protocol. So to start with, mag-ano muna ako ha, mag-attendance. So kanina 14 ta, di ba? So anyway, I'll just have the attendance. Okay, so to start with, ito yung makikita ninyo sa inyong, yeah, so protocol for fertilizer bioefficacy test. So let's just focus on fertilizer. There are also protocols for animals, for animal production, and also for plants and soil. So this is just an example of everything since this is my expertise. Ano pong next? Ako mag-mute po. Okay, so of course, you have heard about Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority before, right? Tama ba ko, Carla? Nakadug, naka-FPA before I presented this to you. How about Kier? Kenneth?
Wala, ma'am.
Wala pa. So this is the first time you have heard this, the Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority. And most of you wala. So this is actually an agency under the Department of Agriculture of the Philippines, and they manages all the entry of chemicals or commercial chemicals and fertilizers of the country. So for example, although it is made in the Philippines or imported, they still do all the requirements for registration. So kailangan registered siya for FPA. Although not everything is registered in the FPA, but it means that although nandoon sila, parang smuggle lang, no? Nandoon sila sa, nabibili natin sa specific na mga tindahan, but then some maybe are not registered under FPA, and then FPA officer are actually monitoring kung ano yung mga chemicals na yun, and they are confiscated, no? Kasi dapat kung everything that is sold in the Philippines should be properly registered by the FPA bago siya ibenta. So merong ano diyan, merong tawag doon, label na registered by FPA. And before that ma-register, one of the requirements ay yung experimental use permit. So they need an accredited researcher for that. So, and for you to be an accredited researcher, you have to undergo training for 1 week. So it's just all about what are the protocols, what you're going to do, and then after that, you're going to make um, a sample protocol, and then the reviewer is going to review and rate your output, and before you became a registered um, FPA researcher. So once you are registered, you're going to have an ID that you are a registered FPA, and then you'll be on the list of the accredited researchers. And that's the time when the company will contact you to conduct the research. So this is actually the bioefficacy data generation mechanism to support claims on the effectiveness of a fertilizer. So if you are a chemical engineer, or just perhaps a normal agriculturist or agricultural engineer na gifted with sige, nawala na po. Gifted with the ability to like make to create or invent a new fertilizer, for example, folia fertilizer. So meron kang sariling mixture or combination, no, para, and then it seems very effective based on your own research. And so before you can sell those one and claim the effectiveness, so there must be an accredited researcher to do that. So the claims on effectives and direction of use will appear on the label and brochures as well. And traditional inorganic fertilizer are exempted. So if yung mga NPK, kung pure grade lang siya, you don't need for registration na. Kasi kung halimbawa, complete fertilizer, 1414, or urea, no? 4600 ba na, no? Ang urea. So, those are inorganic fertilizer already na exempted. But when you use traditional organic fertilizer, they must be fully registered with FPA. So if ever, I have also one experience because I have done more than 20 research projects already by FPA. And I experienced mga, like limestone are not actually included na, but when they are in different forms, so they have to be again assessed, no, or registered. And also sometimes like sa Atlas fertilizer, meron silang bagong grade na merong um 16 ata yung NPK nila, 1616, and then meron silang plus boron. So the FPA still require them for registration. Traditional organic fertilizer are usually registered and market for 7 years, tested in major crops like rice, corn, and sugarcane, or other three crops for 2 seasons each. So, halimbawa, yung fertilizer na yon, or yung pesticides or chemical na yon, if dapat registered lang siya into one crop. Halimbawa, for rice siya, so one EUP lang yan. And then that should be conducted for 2 seasons each, or at the same time, but 2 different areas. So before siya ma-fully registered. So if ever you want it to apply for other crops, so you will apply another expansion again, like for corn and sugarcane. So Mostly, ang pinakamadali na ginagamit namin ay yung mga vegetables kasi konti lang. Like for rice, it takes 5 months, no? For corn, madali lang siya, although 1 month lang, almost 1 month, medyo 1 month and more lang siya for sweet corn. And lalo na sa sugarcane, no? Matagal. So that's it. Next, we have, kompleto na ta. So again, we have the experimental use permit or application of experimental use permit must be submitted also a month before conducting the actual test, no? So no, if ever you plan it on June or on August, so dapat July pa lang or June may nag-apply ka na, because the notice of approval or disapproval will pinakamadabilis na yung 15 days. So usually 1 month or more yan. And must be conducted by FBA accredited researcher, which is allowed 5 experiments only at a given time, and not allowed to conduct for own company. So kailangan, kasi may mga company like yung mga yung Dole Philippines, ano pa? Yung sa Panabo, ang sige na siya, Mary Rose, Lapanday, no? So yung Lapanday, meron din yan silang mga own accredited researcher. But then if they are going to create their own product, they're not allowed to do so. So kailangan sila ng ibang agencies like for now, I just have recently renewed my my ID, and hopefully it will now be under RMC company kasi dati sa USEP yon. So it's also valid only for one growing season for testing a crop, which also can be extended upon request, no? If ever kulang yung one growing season, so you can still request for extension. And usually yung mga field yung officers will monitor the experiments and sign the terminal report. But because there are only few na officers of the FPA, so one day, isa sa mga pwede nyong applyan ay ang FPA, no, if you graduate. So usually, the hindi na nila nako-cover lahat, no, ang field, kaya if they trust like for example if it's usually affiliated in the university or college, so mas hindi na nila i-check yan. And then so these are the timetable for the processing of the experimental use permit. So the researcher with the company owner or registrant will apply for FPA, UP, and then they evaluate the protocol that you send them along with chemical analysis. So kailangan yung product ay ma-analyze chemically and under accredited naman ng mga laboratory labs, no? And then you can start the experimental use permit once approved, and then mag-visit yung taga FPA. And with the field experiment, they will also monitor and visit. And then that's the time. And after the experiment, you need to submit a terminal report with just 1 month after the duration of the protocol or conduct of the study. Then that's the time that it doesn't stop there after the terminal report. Usually, the FBA will attest to the report or approve that the report is conducted. Ayan. So for questions and clarifications, later na lang, no, after the first na kasi if we finish the 45 minutes, then let's just go back to the link again. So this is the sample na application for experimental use permit. This was, yeah, ito yung sample na ginawa nila. So, yeah, ako nga itong researcher nila. This is for cacao, and this was 2016 to 2017. So ito yung mga treatment. So ito yung what is stated in the EUP that I am talking about. So ito yung application you permit nila, and then ito yung approval. So next is, so what are needed in the test protocol? So first you have to cite or explain the experimental condition. That's include the site description, location, hydrology, slope, soil type, and topography. And also what are the different components of the products and its effectiveness or standards, and how is crop selected and its variety, and it should be usually common on the region, no, and trial conditions if it is irrigated or non-irrigated field in the case of rice, and the number of trials depends also on the crop. And you have to state the design, layout, whether it's analysis of variance or randomized complete block design for field, and completely randomized design for laboratories and nurseries. And it should have at least 3 replications, and error degrees or freedom of at least 10. So later in our statistics, if you still remember how to compute for the error DF, so we'll be reminded of that later. And also, you have to have soil analysis. So, hindi pwedeng walang soil analysis, especially for fertilizer trial or even any other trial. And should also be done in a deficient soil. So, otherwise, your fertilizer wouldn't be effective if it's not deficient, no. And the plot size would depend on your crop. So ito yung mga required na plot size, no. For lowland rice, it should be 16 to 20 square meter. For upland rice, the same, but up to 25 square meter. And for corn and other upland cereals, up to 25 then. For vegetables, only 10 to 16 square meter. That's for per plot, no? Yung total. And legumes or fields or vegetables, 16. Cucurbits, root crops, forage are 16. So in terms naman ng turf, by ano siya, 2.5 by 3.6. And for sugar cane, 35, 7 by 5 or 6 by 9. Or 35 or 54 square meter. Then for mango, sa isang one fruit bearing tree per treatment, usually pag gumamit ka ng flower inducer nito or for foliar fertilizer din, per treatment per replication, by quadrant yan. So you should have 4 quadrant. So 2 by 4 replication. So isang tree, 4 replications, or 4 quadrant and 4 replication. And for ornamentals, usually 3 plants in 5 sampling sites per plot, at least 15 square meter, or per treatment per replication, 3 by 5 by 3. No? And for tobacco, 26 square meter. And for fish pond naman, kasi may mga fertilizer tayong nilalagay sa fish ponds, diba? So 500 square meter per treatment times 2 or more applications. So remember, a 4 quadrant per tree if possible, may sampling 26 randomly selected buds or per quadrant, or total of 100 flowering buds per tree. Imagine, no? Pag I remember before, sa aking dissertation, nung nagbilang ako ng flowers ng Pomelo, buti na lang konti lang ang flowers ng pomelo per tree, no? Nasa 1,000 plus lang siya. So how much more kung mangga? Can you imagine pila ka flowers ang mangga, no? Tagnaa daw ano, tagnaa daw ninyo Mary Rose. Ay, si Mary Rose pa ni o si Teresa. Yeah, Mary Rose. So do you think? So it could be more than 1,000 sa kadaghan sa flowers sa mangga. No? And imagine that you're going to count each of that. So ganun kahirap maging researcher, but it's actually my passion. No? It's it's something that I'm really enjoying. So, if it, a second efficacy test protocol is the application of treatment. So, sa test product mo, formulation niya dapat meron, and then reference product. Like, kung ano yung commercial available or conventional fertilizer na ginagamit, kailangan i-compare mo doon sa test product. Whether complete fertilizer or incomplete or single and so on, or more yet of potash and so on. So, and mode or type and time of application should be specified using good agricultural practices and apply based on products recommended type and time of application. So date of each application should be recorded. So these are sample test treatment protocols for for granular and soil applied inorganic soil and foliar applied liquid fertilizer or biofertilizer or organic fertilizer. But at of this time, yung organic fertilizer is sa ano na siya, box, no? Sa under pa din ng DA. So, separated na siya ngayon sa FPA. So, ito yung dapat may control ka, and then kung anong recommendation base sa soil analysis, and then one half or half lang ng recommended rate based on soil analysis. So, and the fourth treatment is with the new recommendation na ng new product, and the fifth treatment is recommendation of new product, and the sixth treatment is a combination of both. So, yun yung standard na protocol. We have another standard protocol for foliar, soil applied micronutrients, or soil amendment siya or conditioner. Just like, ano ba yung na-study ko before? Na soil conditioner. Oh, forgot. So, I forgot, but it's actually, yung, meron kaming fish amino na ginamit before. No? So, ito yung mga treatments niya. Kaiba naman siya kasi, of course, you have to have control, walang application. But then, yung traditional practice or GAP, good agricultural practice, should be standard to all. But then, wala lang siyang kasaling treatment. So, again, standard na soil analysis recommendation together with half of the new recommended rate of the product, and then combination of both, and the recommended rate of the product plus 1.5 of the recommended rate of new product, and recommended rate lang ng new product as ano. So, yan. So that's for flower inducers and plant growth regulator naman. For example, ng flower inducer ay paclobutrazole. No? Have you heard of that? Or plant growth regulator like ethylene, no, for ripening. So I hope you still remember. So ito yung mga treatment. So pag control, it's kasi ano siya, flower induces to water only. And second, if ano yung registered na, compare mo siya sa commercial product, and half rate, and then full rate, and then 1.5 of the rate. No? So, for fish pond fertilizers, ito naman yung mga um, mga mga treatments. Control, recommended rate ng inorganic na available commercial fertilizer. So, one half of it, and then one half in the combination of the recommended rate of the product and the RR of the new product only and its combination. So, for soil rejuvenator naman, for fish ponds, so tatlo lang. Control, the recommended rate of the product, and the combination. So, for the composer naman, halimbawa, gagamit kayo ng vermi or let's say, mga fungus for decomposing, no? So, tatlo lang din. Control, RR, ng commercial, and the new product. So, third aspect of efficacy test protocol is yung mode of assessment, recording, and measurements. So, yung meteorological data which you can get naman sa website, no, can be which include precipitation, temperature, and everything, no, should be kasi that's an important indication if merong drought or heavy rains or typhoons that would affect the result. So, and then data collection na, no? So, for these are just samples but you can add more, and these are just the basic or standard na kukunin mong data. We have plant data, no, for rice, uh, like plant height. So, ayan, kailangan at 30 days after planting, and then you tag for corner hills per corner for a total of 16 hills. So that's just an example, and so on. And so you're going to have average plant height, tiller count, whether productive or unproductive siya, and panicle count per square meter, and straw weight at harvest every 5 square meter, and the grain yield in terms of tons per hectare. And sometimes you also do the weed weight, density, and classification at 30, 60 days after transplanting, and also the tiller count at earlier. So ganun ka ang rice. For this is for upland rice, so meron ding straw weight, grain weight, and weed weight, and so on. For corn naman, so you have number of ears per harvest per area per plot, weight of fresh ears. So when we say ears, yun yung kanyang bunga with husk per harvest per plot. Then the weight of fresh ears now without husk, and then the dry weight of the kernel in terms of tons per hectare, and the biomass weight at harvest. So for vegetables, we have, depending on leafy vegetables, you only need marketable yield weight of plants in tons per hectare. No need for plant height, yung mga plant growth parameters, but then you can still also add to be ano to be more to have more correlation. And fruit vegetables, yung kanyang number of fruits per hectare, total yield, and weight of fruits. And for col family naman, weight of marketable curd for cauliflower and bud cluster for broccoli in tons per hectare. So yun yung mga example. For bulk grass, meron din, no? Garlic, ginger, and onion. So usually plant height, fresh weight, and dry weight. For field legumes naman, we also have fresh weight of weight of pods, and then dry weight of shelled beans na. Or for soybean and mung bean, merong neutral count, fresh weight of beans, and bean yield. And for peanut, fresh weight of pods or tons per hectare or weight of the shelled. And data parameter for vegetable legumes, we have sweet peas, fresh weight din, and for string beans. For cucurbits naman, like cantaloupe and watermelon, average diameter ng fruit, number of fruits, and weight of fruits. And for root crops, usually mga weight, percent of big and small, corms, and marketable tubers. So usually weight lahat. And for forage turf, sugarcane, tobacco, so meron siya herbage yield, of course, yung weight niya, lahat, and sugar produced per ton of sugar cane. So meron yang or ton cane per hectare. Physical quality for tobacco naman iba ito, cured leaf yield and craft value and chemical quality. For mango, ayan, so usually number of days from chemical induction or flower bud in emergence, intensity of flowering, no? Merong mga ratings niya, number of fruits, number of fruits per panicle, fruit yield per tree, and unmarketable fruit, and even sweetness when you do the sensory. So, don't worry, meron tayong criteria for flower intensity, for example. So, ito yung mga score niya from non-poor, fair, moderate, excellent. So, may description yan. No, pag excellent, numerous flowers all over on the practically all arts of the canopy. Moderate lang pag 50 to 75%, fair 25 to 50, then less than that is poor or zero flower. So for ornamentals, it's all about yield and growth ng foliage or intensity ng flowering, number of days to induction, and number of flowers or the quality of flowers, no, or weight. And yeah, for indoor plants, number of leaves, weight of leaves, size of leaves, and quality of leaves, flower. So for fish pond naman, usually initial amount ng NPK, OM, and pH, then afterwards, you count plankton and fish weight, sample size, and periodic sampling of early maturing fish and late maturing fish. Yan. Then the applicant is now ready to submit when they have those so ito yung mga requirements when you create your own fertilizer and then you register that for FPA. Ito yung mga kanyang mga types and requirements. So ano pa ba? Yan. Ito yung mga specifications and mga labeling requirements. Basic format for fertilizer bioefficacy should compose the following, no? And I already have shown you the example, which I will show you again after this, and the budgetary requirements that includes labor, inputs, travel costs, communication, professional fees, and contingency funds. So this will be, again, as I have discussed, will be evaluated by FPA, and then after you submit the terminal report, and they have to also um, approve the report. So you should always remember the sampling techniques, the parameters, and the submission of terminal report. No? So I guess yun lang. No? And it's better that you are employed by also or affiliated in a government or private company, or if you have one, you have affiliation, or you can also be private or can be your own. So do you have any questions or clarifications? We're less than a minute, and